Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Today is the ninth episode, and after traveling to Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America, let's now focus on North America and continue our journey to understand those people who stood up for humanity and those people who stood up for human dignity, sacrificing for truth and justice. Today, we are focusing on two stalwarts of our country. One of them is Martin Luther King Jr., and the other is Malcolm X. Uh, one was a Christian, one was a Muslim, one was the one who was a pastor, and one who spent much of his life in the prison, yet became one of the most prominent leaders of civil rights and prominent voice of African Americans' dignity and the people's dignity was a Muslim. So, without any further delay, I hand it over to Dr. Walji to continue the discussion, and then we will then definitely move to the last segment tomorrow, where we will basically look at the life of Imam Hussein in the context of what we have been discussing, and then we will basically focus on how we move forward from here onward.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aslam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today, continuing with the series, we, as Dr. Aslam Abdullah said, we come back home to the US. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., two of the most influential figures in the American civil rights movement. And yet, as Dr. Aslam mentioned, their faiths were different, their approaches and their philosophies differed significantly. But while they both had different methods, both sought to achieve equality and justice for African Americans. Their contribution has laid the groundwork for the ongoing struggle against racial discrimination, and it obviously continues to inspire movements for social change, not just here in America, but worldwide. Born Malcolm Little, he later adopted the name Malcolm X to signify the loss of his African heritage, and he becomes a prominent figure in the Nation of Islam before converting to Sunni Islam. His philosophy, well, he advocated for Black empowerment, self-reliance, self-defense, and he initially promoted racial separation rather than integration, but then obviously a transformation took place and he reversed that particular stance. With Martin Luther King Jr., a Baptist minister, Dr. King emerges as a leader during the Montgomery bus boycott. He was deeply influenced by Christian teachings and the nonviolent methods of Mahatma Gandhi, about whom we heard yesterday. His philosophy, he advocated for nonviolent resistance and civil obedience to combat racial injustice. He believed in integration and equality, aiming for a society where individuals, in his own words, are judged by their character rather than their skin color. So, let's just briefly look at Malcolm X's evolution, his empowerment, his transformation. Malcolm X's journey from a fiery separatism to a vision of unity reveals the transformative power of personal evolution. His insistence on self-respect and empowerment echoes in the hearts of those who fight against marginalization. Initially advocating, as we said, for racial separation, his views evolved as he experienced the broader Islamic world. His pilgrimage to Mecca opened his eyes to the possibility of racial unity. His transformation at Hajj and the account of his experience at Hajj, if you have not had the opportunity to read, I absolutely recommend that we read that so that we truly understand the meaning of Hajj from the words of Malcolm X. Leading him to advocate for a more inclusive approach while still emphasizing the importance of Black pride and self-sufficiency. His ability to adapt and grow in his beliefs underscores the importance of flexibility and open-mindedness in the pursuit of justice. Let's look at Martin Luther King Jr.'s peaceful vision. MLK's dedication to nonviolence and his dream of racial harmony serves as a moral compass, guiding movements for social justice with an unwavering belief in love and in peace. King's method of peaceful protest, as we said, influenced by Mahatma Gandhi, was powerful. It was also strategic. He organized, as we know, marches, sit-ins, eloquent speeches, and he was one of the most eloquent speakers that one has ever heard. Brought national attention to the injustices faced by African Americans. King's vision extended beyond racial equality to include economic justice and international peace, demonstrating, like a true leader, and his people like Gandhi, that their broad and inclusive understanding of justice. His legacy teaches us that true strength lies in the ability to face oppression with dignity and nonviolence, fostering change through compassion and moral authority. When we look at both Malcolm X's insistence on dignity, King's commitment to peaceful protest, and Imam Hussein's ultimate sacrifice, collectively highlight the diverse strategies necessary for the struggle for justice. Each path, whether through the transformation of personal belief, the steadfast commitment to nonviolence, or the ultimate sacrifice for the truth, contributes to the broader narrative of human rights and dignity. So their combined legacy teaches us that the pursuit of justice is a noble endeavor requiring a blend of resilience, adaptability, and unwavering moral conviction. We see that it is a journey marked by personal growth, strategic nonviolence, and profound sacrifice. Let us draw from their examples. Let us remind ourselves that the struggle for justice is ongoing and that each generation must find its own way, contextual to the time that it's living in, to contribute to this fight. That was a fight of Malcolm X, that was a fight of Martin Luther King Jr., and that was also the fight for the other witnesses that we have reviewed, including Imam Hussein, who refused to bow down to the authority. He refused to pay allegiance to Yazid, not for personal gain, but for societal betterment. Anyway, with that, I would like to pass this back to Dr. Aslam for just few brief closing comments, because this is the last in this particular series. Tomorrow, inshallah, we will review the life and times of Imam Hussein al-Islam and the episode of Karbala. Dr. Aslam.
Thank you very much, Dr. Walji. I don't have much to add, but one thing is very clear from what you have mentioned is the desire of certain human beings to offer their own struggles and their own lives for the dignity and for the equality of the rest of the humanity, regardless of the labels that we put on people, whether they were Christians, or they were Muslims, or they were Hindus, or they were Sikhs, or the Jews. What is significant is that whenever the creation of God is denied the rights that God has given them, then there are people who must show their true mettle and stand for the dignity of others. And Malcolm X and Martin Luther King's life demonstrate that very clearly. And when we tomorrow we talk about the comparison between what we have discussed about those individuals in Imam Hussein, we will definitely elaborate more on that kind of comparison and that kind of similarities for them. Thank you very much, Dr. Walsh.
Thank you, Dr. Aslam. Assalamu alaikum.